Hello and welcome to Mystic Visions. This reading is for Sagittarius for the month of January 2021. Happy New Year. If you are not a Sagittarius, please look on my channel to find the reading for your sign. And this is a general reading that's meant to apply more broadly across the entire month. And if you are looking for something more specific, please check out my daily readings. And in this reading, we will be using my adaptation of the Celtic Cross, and I will explain the meaning of each card as I draw them. Now, please leave me a message in the comments if you have any questions or if you would like some clarification. And I would be happy to draw a few additional cards for anyone who has subscribed to the channel, so please just ask me in the comments if that's something you'd like. So let's go ahead and begin with the reading for Sagittarius for January. So this card represents the current situation, and this one represents what's crossing you or influencing you. This is what you're moving away from. This is what you're moving toward. Then over here we have your foundation or the subconscious. Then there's the conscious mind or the crowning thoughts. Then you have your advice card, your environment, the fears card, and the world. I'm sorry. That's and the overall message, which is the world, but yeah. So what we have for your current situation is this Queen of Swords. So Queen of Swords, this is a smart, an intellectual type, but instead of trying to use that intellect to go out and control everybody, she's a little bit more internalized with it, calculating, and sometimes philosophical even. She's thinking about, life and her situation and what she wants to happen and all this. So she tends to be a little bit more cold and closed off. She's not interacting as much with the outside because she's a little bit more in her own head. And but not to say that she has a problem with overthinking or something like that. That can happen with this, but it's not necessarily indicated. What is indicated is a little bit more of a focus of the thoughts on the internal state. And this can represent you, but this also can represent something that's just really heavy on your mind, or somebody who's really heavy on your mind. But more than likely, this is indicating you being just a little bit more thoughtful than usual, or maybe not than usual. You may be a thoughtful person all the time, but in this situation, you're just kind of taking it all in and working things out in your head. So what's crossing you is this Two of Swords. So this represents conflicting ideas, two conflicting ideas that you don't know which way to go, essentially. There's a choice that needs to be made, and you're not really sure which way to go. The idea here is there is no real good way for you to figure this out. You can't know for certain which is the right way to go. So it ultimately relies on just sort of, well, there's two choices, or well, there's really three choices. You can go to the left, you can go to the right, or you can do nothing and let go, right? So it's kind of like a hidden door number 3 in this situation, where you don't necessarily have to make a choice. You can just kind of like let the situation unfold on its own. And if that is an option for you, that is generally the best way to go about this, to try to just not react until absolutely necessary to react. And generally, if that point comes, you'll know what to do in the moment. But if you're feeling like, I really don't know what to do here, there's no real decision, then just kind of wait, and you'd be surprised sometimes what opportunities will present themselves. So let's say at your job, they're offering you some sort of a new position. And I have a friend who has been in this very position recently. So they're offering you this new position, and they want you to take it. So they offer you a little bit more money, but you're kind of happy where you are, right? So you may, feel like you're forced to make a decision here, but the very act of saying, I really want to think about this, I'm not sure, they may come back, they may get nervous because they really want you in that position. So they may come back and say, well, okay, we'll give you more money, right? So if you were to ask them directly for more money, they might feel like, well, she wants to do it, but she's trying to get more out of me, right? Whereas just kind of sitting back and not rushing things and allowing the situation to unfold a little bit has its own little benefits. So be on the lookout for that, where if you are at a crossroads and you're not really sure what to do, the option may be best for you to just sort of withhold action or judgment until your hand is sort of forced in that way. So you're moving away from this Five of Swords in the reverse. And this is, Five of Swords has this energy of like, it could have been an argument or something. There may have been some sort of harsh words that were exchanged, and you didn't really mean what you said, but you were a little bit worked up in the moment or something like that. And but so this is in the reverse. So whatever would be kind of like the resistance to that. So that means that it could be that you've been a little non-confrontational in the past, and you've maybe capitulated or been a little bit of a pushover, let other people do whatever they wanted or take advantage of you. And you didn't want to have you didn't want to call someone out. You didn't want to have this argument with them. And so you're moving away from that energy. You're moving into a spot where you're a little bit more willing to stand up for yourself and to get engaged in some arguments. Obviously, the Five of Swords here is also a warning not to go too far down that road to where you end up just like yelling at people or flying off the handle. You don't want to do that, but you do want to be assertive and stand your ground, and definitely look out for what's best for you. So this again to me suggests a need for some secure footing here and some confidence. So a lot of people I've met, I can tell they have this weird sort of implicit feeling that if someone asks them a question or talks to them in some way, they need to immediately come to a response, right? They just, it's almost just this like manners thing or something, where as soon as someone asks you a question, you feel the need for there to be no silence between when the question is asked and when you give your answer. It's almost this compulsive type behavior where you are responding essentially on command from the other person. And that to me is always this like subconscious indicator of a little bit of a lack of confidence or a feeling, a need of validation, right? So you are allowing the external circumstance to dictate your response in some way. Now, some people are quick thinkers and they just come at it really quick, right? They will immediately be able to answer a question and rattle off something fast and witty. And that's one thing. Wittiness is one thing. But then you can always tell if somebody is just sort of forcing it or rushing it or getting ahead of themselves and they haven't really collected their thoughts before they've decided to speak. And so, that's the idea here, is that you've got to be a little bit more assertive and willing to just take your own time, navigate your own space, and answer on your own terms, and not just whenever somebody else says jump, and that is a way of dramatically increasing the respect that others have for you. You might feel like you're more liked or respected if you are more likely to jump at somebody's command, but actually the inverse is true. They might think they like you more, but people tend to respect and admire people more if they have that inner self-confidence and they don't let themselves be pushed around. So where you're headed, the energy you're moving toward here is this Three of Cups. So this is a happy, balanced, and emotionally fulfilling environment, friendship, and good vibes, right? So this is the direction that you're headed. So that's kind of what, getting through this situation or learning to temper yourself in this way helps build really good friendships with, and what happens is your more authentic self is able to come through. And when your more authentic self comes through, then people are naturally going to be more drawn or repelled from that authentic self. So you're going to see more good energy that you want, and the bad energy is going to kind of migrate away from you just sort of naturally. Because what you don't realize is if you put on somewhat of a fake face, then you're attracting people who also put on a fake face. And that's the kind of the law of attraction, right? So you are attracting what you put out. And so if you're not putting out something that is authentic to yourself and you're just kind of doing what you think other people want you to do, you're going to be attracting the wrong sort of thing in your life. So by figuring this out and standing up for yourself and gaining that inner confidence, you're very likely to find some really good friendships along the way and attract the right type of people to you. Now, what you have in your foundation here is the Ace of Cups in the reverse. So the foundation kind of represents the overall lesson that's being learned here. And in this case, there are some new emotion. And when I say new, you've probably experienced these emotions before, but they're, relatively speaking, they're a little foreign to you. There's some emotional states, some feelings that you've been a little bit resistant to, that you don't like going down that road. It could be that you view yourself as a particular kind of person, somebody who's really nice, for example, and a nice person would not, stick up for themselves or, tell somebody when they're being an asshole or something like that, right? So that is the sort of different emotion or different reaction that you are typically not involved in. You're being taught that to just simply avoid certain aspects or emotions of life because it doesn't mesh with your identity is to kind of block out some really important parts of life that are necessary. And what's on your mind here is this Empress. This is your crowning thoughts. This is what you're thinking about or what you're focused on. And this is the divine feminine, right? This is a very, this is a mother archetype. This is somebody who's very nurturing and cares very deeply, but she's fierce and she's strong and she's protective at the same time. So this is on your mind. So it could be a mother figure that is on your mind, or you could be thinking about those types of qualities yourself, about wanting to protect and nurture and all that kind of thing. So one way or another, either this is an energy that you're seeking after very consciously, or there is somebody who displays these thoughts who's heavy on your mind right now, like a mom or a mentor or a grandmother, these types of things. So there may be something that somebody who's displaying these types of characteristics who's on your mind, or it could just be that, again, you might have a child or somebody that you're trying to take care of, or a certain project where you're taking care of others, and that type of an energy is just really up in there in your head. So advice for the situation is this Hanged Man. This guy here. The Hanged Man is a little bit of an odd card for some people if they are new to the tarot deck. And the way that I like to approach this is a lot of times we struggle and we think that we need to do something, right? But there's actually nothing that needs to be done. So in other words, what needs to be done is nothing. Or you need to kind of let go of the situation and let it be. And the Hanged Man is a kind of a lesson in this. He's hanging there. I don't know if he's trapped or if he's able to get down, but I tend to gravitate more to the fact that he is trapped there and he can't move. And what happens is, at first he may struggle and whatnot, but he's going to quickly realize that he's just running out of strength. He's not getting anywhere by struggling. So he kind of just lets go. And when he lets go, he sort of realizes that things aren't that bad. And he may even find it somewhat pleasant to sit there and hang upside down like that. And I know everybody has had the experience, well, not everybody, but most people have had the experience of hanging upside down on the monkey bars when you were a young kid, right? And that's a very fun thing to do. It's very pleasant. And you're not worried about what needs to be done. It's kind of silly. It's nonsensical in a way, but it's also very therapeutic in a way, because you're kind of just letting go. You're just allowing what is to be, and you're not trying to force things around. You're not trying to keep things moving in such a way. So this is your advice for the current situation. So this goes back to what I was saying for this Queen of Swords and the Two of Swords. The answer here for you might be to just watch this thing play out. You may feel that, people strongly want some input from you, but if you don't have to give them that input, it may not be the worst thing in the world for them to be a little frustrated because they're not getting what they want from you. It might lead them to offer you a somewhat better deal. So your environment card here is the Lovers. And so the Lovers represents really, it represents choice. So in your environment, there is a feeling of needing to make a decision, or, the way the Lovers is a lot of people try to think of this as like a raw attraction or something like that, where it's a romantic situation that is just perfect right out the gate, and there's no effort involved or anything like that. But that is not what the Lovers represents. It represents the fact that in any sort of a good romantic relationship, there has to be a sort of commitment or a choice made to stick to that. And so in this situation, it's kind of the same way. Ultimately, there's going to be a choice whether you want to stick to something or go down some other path. So this is your environment. So it seems like there is some ripe opportunity around for you here. And again, I think that the delaying or the not making a choice in this situation is probably something that's kind of strategic for you. So look out for that. Now, your Fears card is the Four of Cups in the reverse, or I mean, not in the reverse, just upright. And the Four of Cups is about kind of having a somber attitude, or kind of just not feeling right, and because of that, missing out on some good things, or rejecting some good opportunities because you're not feeling right about a situation. And warranted fears in this situation, because if you are kind of holding back, you may have this sort of FOMO, fear of missing out, right? Fear that you're missing some greater opportunity. And my suggestion for you there is to realize that the way over that is to learn to appreciate whatever you have in the current moment. If you're constantly seeking some other external form of validation, or looking to get to a good happy place, you're kind of defining yourself as not being in that happy place in the first place. So yes, I mean, you want to act when the time is right, but at the same time, realize that it's not imperative, that relax a little bit and enjoy the ride and see how things work out. Don't be too caught up on a destination and forget to focus on how you get there and the journey. So the overall message for you here is the World, the overall outcome. This is an indication that there is sort of a big life change that's coming as the result of this. There is a completion, a victory, a new, almost a rebirth into a new phase of life, or a new journey, really. And this has a definite feeling of closure and completion, but it also leads into something completely new, and it's like it kind of starts over from this point. And so, again, I would say don't get too focused on any one destination, because this is more of an evidence that now you're just going into another game, so to speak, another process of development and growth, a new stage in life. And there's always going to be another stage. It doesn't end. It just keeps going. This constant cycle of death and rebirth. And the way to get out of that is just to not really care about it so much. It's kind of ironic. It's paradoxical. It's like it happens for a reason. And if you stop being so hung up on it, then you stop experiencing it as so jarring and problematic. So yeah, this is a great thing that you have accomplished this one aspect of your life, that you're growing up and becoming more mature here. So look forward to that. Look forward to this new chapter in your life, and it's a wonderful thing, and it's a wonderful opportunity. So don't hesitate to essentially invite that new energy into your life. Okay, so that's about it for the monthly reading for January, Sagittarius. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. And again, if you would like some additional cards drawn specifically for you, if you are a subscriber, I would be happy to do that for you if you just ask me in the comment section. So thanks, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next daily reading.